He didn't rob banks. He robbed living rooms. If you love stories about power, corruption, and how the Mafia turned your television into a goldmine, make sure to subscribe, because this one's wired into every home in America. Brooklyn, New York, November 1979, 10:42 p.m. A man in a grey van parks outside a row of brick houses in Bensonhurst. He isn't a cable technician, not officially. He carries a spool of coaxial wire, a pair of cutters, and a clipboard marked Warner Cable Service. His name is Anthony Perino. His family has been in the movie business since the 1960s, producing adult films and laundering cash. Now he's in a new line of entertainment, stealing it. Cable television is the next frontier. HBO, Showtime, and ESPN are booming. The airwaves are full of money, and every new subscriber is worth cash. In 1979, a cable package costs $25 a month. Real money when rent averages $300. That gap is where the mob steps in. Perino works for the Colombo crime family. His crew installs illegal hookups and sells homemade black boxes, electronic descramblers that bypass signal locks and let anyone watch pay TV for free. They build the boxes in basements across Brooklyn, using parts smuggled from Hong Kong and Taiwan. For every unit sold, the family takes a cut. For every block wired, they collect service fees. To thousands of working-class families, the offer sounds harmless: free cable for life. The first boxes appear in 1978, crude metal casings stuffed with hand-soldered chips. Within 2 years, entire neighborhoods are connected. The FBI later estimates that organized crime families are pulling in $20 million a year from illegal cable hookups in New York City alone. The infrastructure is simple. Front companies with names like Atlantic Video Supply and Delta Cable repair import parts through JFK Airport and distribute them to small electronics shops. From the street, they look legitimate: glass counters, flickering TVs, and authorized service signs. In the back rooms, solder fumes fill the air as workers test each box, seal it in unmarked cartons, and send it out by van. The Colombos treat territory like any other racket. Bensonhurst and Gravesend belong to Perino. Ozone Park is under Ralph Scopo, a union official already running the concrete business. Staten Island is shared with Gambino crews who handle shipping. When a customer skips a payment, the cable line gets cut. If an installer crosses into another crew's zone, his van mysteriously burns overnight. By 1981, the boxes cost $100 cash. $30 goes to the installer, $20 to the wholesaler, $50 to the family. The money moves in small envelopes collected every Friday. No receipts, no taxes. Cash gets washed through video rental shops and appliance stores that never seem to have customers, but always have full tills. Demand explodes. Ads in back-page electronics magazines promise signal enhancers, enjoy premium channels without the bill. One phone number traces back to a Colombo front in Queens. Within months, black boxes ship to Long Island, Newark, and Philadelphia. Mail-order catalogs push them nationwide. The law can't keep up. Piracy isn't clearly illegal yet. Statutes cover stolen property, not stolen electromagnetic waves. At worst, offenders face minor tampering charges. Cable companies complain, but local police shrug. As one detective says in a later interview, you can't arrest a signal. By 1983, the black box trade is a national business. The Gambino family joins in, not selling boxes, but supplying the chips that make them work. Angelo Ruggiero and his crew run shipments through Newark and Miami freight forwarders. Each container is marked radio parts. Inside are thousands of decoder chips worth $15 each wholesale, $100 retail. The profit margin is so high that one shipment can earn more than a truckload of heroin with none of the risk. Cable companies start losing millions. Executives plead with the Federal Communications Commission for help. The FCC sends field agents with signal scanners to track unauthorized frequencies. They find entire apartment blocks wired into a single paid line, dozens of homes watching for free. In Brooklyn, agents follow a cable trail to a warehouse in Sunset Park. Inside are 1,200 finished boxes, hundreds of fake labels, and 2 ledgers marked Accounts Perino. The next morning, federal warrants hit 11 properties across Brooklyn and Queens. Agents seize vans, parts, and cash. News cameras catch technicians being led out in handcuffs as reporters shout questions about the Colombo family. The story breaks nationwide. New York Times, July 28, 1986. Mob-linked cable box ring dismantled in Brooklyn raid. 32 people are indicted, including Anthony Perrano, Ralph Scopo Jr., and several Gambino associates. The operation is codenamed Operation Cable Pirate. Federal prosecutors estimate the mob stole $100 million a year nationwide from signal theft. In court, defendants claim they were just helping people watch TV. But the arrests don't end it. The technology spreads. Within a year, new versions of the black box appear with hidden switches and digital scramblers. Manufacturers move offshore to Puerto Rico and Panama, out of federal reach. What started in a Brooklyn basement has become a national epidemic. An FBI agent summarizes it best in a debrief. "We didn't shut them down. We just taught them how to hide better." And as the 1980s begin to fade, a new signal starts appearing in the sky: satellite television. To the mob, it looks like the next gold rush. Rain falls on the metal rooftops of a Brooklyn warehouse. Inside, 6 men hunch over folding tables stacked with circuit boards. A police scanner hums in the corner. Each man solders microchips into small silver boxes that look like VCR adapters. On the wall hangs a hand-painted sign: Atlantic Video Supply. In reality, it's one of 3 mob-run factories producing thousands of illegal cable descramblers every month. The FBI calls it a $100 million industry. To the Colombo and Gambino families, it's just another form of rent. The raids from Operation Cable Pirate only slowed them down. After Perrano's arrest, the Colombos reorganize under Vincent Ficara, a quiet technician who once worked for Warner Cable. He redesigns the decoder to make it cleaner, swapping obvious toggle switches for micro remotes and encrypting chips so agents can't trace them. Within months, a new flood of black boxes hits the streets. Dealers in Queens advertise enhancers, boosters, signal amplifiers. Everyone is a pirate unit. The customers don't see gangsters, they see neighborhood handymen. A man knocks, installs a box, collects $150 of cash and leaves. The mob doesn't need to scare anyone. Their product sells itself. By 1988, piracy spreads beyond New York. Miami, Chicago, and Los Angeles crews copy the Colombo model. The Gambino family supplies chips through freight companies in Newark and Tampa. On the West Coast, smaller outfits tied to the Chicago outfit and Los Angeles family import decoder parts disguised as car radios. In each city, the playbook is the same: bribe a cable technician, tap into the line, sell access by word of mouth. Nobody talks on the phone. Orders move through pages and handwritten slips left in electronics shops. An internal FBI brief later notes, cable theft has become the fastest-growing low-risk income stream for organized crime in the United States. 1990. Technology changes again. Satellite dishes begin replacing coaxial networks. A new market appears: smart cards. Each satellite subscription uses a credit card-sized chip to verify payment. A coder with the right equipment can clone it. Colombo techs partner with former Bell Labs engineers to reverse engineer the encryption. They sell programmable readers for $500 each and preloaded universal cards that unlock every channel. The sales pitch is simple: pay once, watch forever. By 1992, law enforcement estimates more than 400,000 illegal satellite cards in circulation. The FBI nicknames the racket pay-per-view bootlegging. Federal agencies scramble to keep up. The FCC's Enforcement Bureau sends undercover agents to buy boxes at flea markets. One agent in Queens records a vendor bragging, "We get them from the family as the big family." The evidence piles up, but the mob adapts faster. Instead of selling hardware, they lease it. Customers pay a monthly fee to a front company, Galaxy Tech or Premier Media Services, that routes money through offshore accounts. Nothing ties the cash to a crime family. When a federal subpoena hits one of those companies, it dissolves overnight. A new name appears the next week. Same address, same employees. 94. Cable companies begin using digital encryption. The boxes stop working. For a moment, it looks like the racket is over. Then a man named Thomas Mazzei, a former electrical engineer linked to the Lucchese family, publishes a 30-page manual titled The Unlocker's Guide. It explains, step by step, how to modify the new converter chips. Maze sells the manuals through classified ads, earning $500,000 before the FBI shuts him down. Agents raid his workshop in Staten Island and seize 35 computers, hundreds of blank chips, and a Rolodex of buyers stretching from Toronto to San Diego. One memo from the raid reads, "Evidence suggests coordination between Lucchese and Colombo associates to maintain market share in decoder distribution. The mob is evolving into a tech cartel." 96. The internet begins to spread. Online bulletin boards fill with code snippets and schematics for homemade descramblers. Mob technicians use the new digital anonymity to sell updated chips through early e-commerce sites. Packages arrive by mail labeled TV repair parts. Payment is sent via money order to P.O. boxes registered under fake names. When the FBI tries to follow the trail, it loops through 5 states and ends in a warehouse in New Jersey, empty except for packing peanuts and cigarette butts. Every time investigators shut one ring down, another appears. 98. The Justice Department launches Operation Decryption, targeting satellite card piracy. Agents raid 65 locations nationwide, from Miami strip malls to a warehouse in Los Angeles. They seize $30 million in equipment and thousands of counterfeit cards. Among those arrested are 2 cousins of a former Gambino associate. In court, prosecutors describe a national distribution chain run with the discipline of a crime family. At a press conference, U.S. Attorney Mary Jo White says, "This is not kids hacking for fun. This is organized crime stealing a broadcast industry. Still, the money dwarfs the risks. The penalty for possessing a descrambler remains a misdemeanor. Most defendants pay fines smaller than a month's profit. By 1999, the technology reaches its peak. The mob no longer builds boxes, it builds software. Pirated decryption codes circulate every month like contraband currency. In Brooklyn's Bay Ridge bars, men trade floppy disks labeled movies all day. The FBI estimates that by the turn of the millennium, cable and satellite piracy costs U.S. broadcasters $500 million a year, much of it funneled through organized crime fronts. A senior agent puts it bluntly, "We chased the Mafia out of the docks and the trash trucks. They moved into living rooms. Even the mobsters laugh about it. Wiretaps capture one Colombo soldier joking, 'We don't need guns. We got remotes.' For decades, the Mafia ran rackets built on muscle. Now they were running one built on microchips. It required no violence, just knowledge, and the right phone number. The same Genovese and Gambino crews that once controlled the docks now controlled invisible signals passing through the air. No blood, no fingerprints, there's only cash. 2000. The digital era finally brings real consequences. Congress passes the Satellite Home Viewer Improvement Act, upgrading piracy from a civil offense to a federal felony. The FBI teams with DirecTV and Dish Network to track counterfeit access cards. The new cards carry serial chips that deactivate when cloned. Within 2 years, the large-scale rackets collapse. The profits vanish, the tech evolves, and the families move on to easier money at internet scams, phone cloning, online gambling. But for 20 years, the Mafia had owned America's screens. From black box decoders in Brooklyn to satellite cards in the suburbs, they'd found a way to charge rent on entertainment itself. They didn't just steal television, they monetized the signal of a nation. Newark, New Jersey, March 2001. 5:40 a.m. Federal agents in windbreakers move through a row of warehouses off Frelinghuysen Avenue. The air smells like dust and diesel. Inside one building, they find racks of cardboard boxes labeled video test units. When they open them, hundreds of counterfeit DirecTV access cards spill out. The serial numbers match a nationwide fraud ring that had been stealing satellite signals for years. At the center of the scheme are 3 men once linked to the Colombo and Gambino crime families. They aren't running gambling halls anymore. They're running tech companies. Each front looks legitimate, registered with business licenses, tax IDs, and even Better Business Bureau listings. But behind the logos and invoices, every shipment hides the same thing: piracy hardware. The mob has moved from back alleys to office parks. The FBI's Operation Decryption rolls through 2001 and 2002 like a slow tidal wave. Raids hit New York, Florida, California, and Illinois. Agents seize hundreds of thousands of counterfeit smart cards and dozens of card programmers used to clone legitimate subscriptions. One internal Justice Department memo notes, "This enterprise demonstrates organized crime's adaptation to modern infrastructure. Physical rackets have given way to digital exploitation. For decades, the Mafia needed control over docks, trucks, or garbage routes. Now it controlled data streams. Each cloned card brought in between $100 and $500. Every week, couriers delivered cash in envelopes to small electronics wholesalers still tied to mob crews. From there, the money was cleaned through shell importers in Miami and Newark. When Congress passes the Digital Millennium Copyright Act in 1998, prosecutors finally have the weapon they need. By 2002, the first major sentences hit. A Colombo associate named Joseph Perrano Jr., Anthony's son, pleads guilty to conspiracy and mail fraud after investigators tie him to a warehouse in Queens, moving 10,000 illegal DirecTV cards a month. He receives 3 years in federal prison, short but symbolic. For the first time, cable and satellite piracy is recognized not as petty theft, but as racketeering. The sentencing memo reads, "The defendant exploited a technology gap to sustain a criminal enterprise modeled on traditional organized crime." 2003. The industry fights back with its own arsenal. DirecTV launches Operation Smart Card, embedding electronic self-destruct triggers in new cards that disable themselves if copied. Within weeks, thousands of cloned accounts across the country go dark. Customers who'd been paying mob-connected vendors call demanding refunds. The crews respond with silence. A few installers disappear altogether, taking their profits overseas. The market crashes overnight. The FBI estimates that organized crime revenue from cable piracy drops 80% between 2003 and 2005. The easy money is gone. By 2006, streaming technology begins to emerge. YouTube, BitTorrent, early pay-per-view sites. The game changes again. You can't intercept a stream the way you could intercept a signal. You have to hack servers. That requires new skills, new recruits, new risks. The old mobsters, the ones who grew up wiring tenement buildings, can't keep up, but their sons and nephews can. Investigators start to see familiar surnames in new cases. Cardillo, Romano, Ruggiero. They aren't splicing wires anymore. They're running file-sharing networks, seeding pirated sports broadcasts, and selling access through encrypted forums. The DOJ's 2009 Cybercrime Task Force identifies multiple online communities where organized crime affiliates appear to offer subscription-based access to stolen digital content. It's the same business model as before, only this time the black box is a website. The profits are smaller but safer. No warehouses, no trucks, no raids at 5 a.m. The only evidence is code. Payments come through prepaid cards and offshore accounts. A federal investigator later says, "They just moved from copper wire to broadband." By 2010, the old-school piracy networks have morphed into cyber fraud rings. Some launder stolen cable profits into online gambling startups. Others finance counterfeit electronics imports. The structure still mirrors a family. Soldiers handle sales. Capos handle logistics. Bosses take the cut. In the background, the FCC keeps issuing fines to small installers, but the Mafia is mostly gone from the scene. Cable companies have gone digital, satellite cards are encrypted, and law enforcement can trace payments instantly. What began as a neighborhood hustle has become obsolete. The last remnants of the black box era die out around 2012. Pawn shops stop carrying them. Flea market vendors switch to selling streaming devices. A generation that grew up with pirated HBO now pays for Netflix. The same people who once whispered, "I know a guy who can hook you up," now brag about their legal subscriptions. For investigators who chased the case for decades, the ending feels anticlimactic. There's no shootout, no big arrest, just a slow fade as technology evolves faster than crime. An FBI agent who worked Operation Cable Pirate tells a reporter in 2015, "We didn't beat them. The future did." The mob's digital empire collapsed not from arrests but from innovation. Yet the story leaves a strange legacy. For 20 years, the Mafia ran an invisible monopoly over America's entertainment, charging rent on laughter, drama, and sports. They infiltrated living rooms more effectively than they ever infiltrated unions. The same families that fixed fish prices and concrete contracts figured out how to fix television. When the signal changed, so did the crime. Today, piracy still exists, but the players have changed. Instead of mob soldiers in Brooklyn basements, it's hackers in Eastern Europe or rogue streamers hiding behind VPNs. The code is cleaner, but the idea is the same. Sell what someone else built and get paid in cash. Every now and then, agents still find an old decoder in a raid, a metal box with a faded label, the last relic of an era when the Mafia didn't need bullets to make millions. They only needed a wire and a willing audience. In 2020, the Department of Justice quietly closed the last open case tied to the original Operation Cable Pirate. The file spanned thousands of pages. On the final page, an agent had written one sentence, subject matter concluded and industry secured, racket extinct. The words felt premature. History had shown that extinction wasn't permanent. Every new signal carried opportunity, and every new technology left a shadow. Somewhere, another signal flickers through the air, encrypted, valuable, and waiting for someone to steal it. For nearly 3 decades, the Mafia controlled the flow of entertainment in America. They started in the alleys of Brooklyn and ended in the code of cyberspace. They didn't just steal cable, they hijacked the future.